Okay, so you may not necessarily agree with some of his ideas, and I'm not necessarily encouraging you to use examples quite as shocking as his, but the point that I just wanted to make is that you can definitely walk away from listening to what he's talking about, and you could share the basic idea with somebody else. And so analogies and examples, stories are really powerful tools that you can use to make sure that you're communicating well to your audience. Okay, so slides occasionally accompany a presentation. PowerPoint, I think, is the one that's used the most. So my colleague at Penn State, Michael Alley, who I showed you his picture a little bit earlier, he spent a lot of time actually studying the visual part of presentations, and he's done a lot of research on slides in particular. So one summer, I guess he was bored, he collected hundreds of different slides from scientists and engineers, and he examined what was the basic format of these slides. And this is what the majority of them looked like. So he found that about 40% of them had this phrase headline and the bulleted list, and another 25% included a photo. So these are slides, these are examples that we take out to these workshops that we do, and I show them to whoever I'm teaching, and I ask them, what do you think are wrong with these slides? And I'll tell you that I've never found anybody who really loves these slides. So I'll ask you, what do you think, what's wrong with these slides? Shout it out. Too much technical information. Somebody else. Don't be shy. No movement, okay? What else? Too many words. Thank you. I will give you your $5 later, sir. So yes, too many words is the #1 response that we get for these. There's too many words. People say, and they say the other things that you said, they're too cluttered, there's too much technical information, they're too difficult to read. And I think part of this is from our little friend, the bullet point. Actually, our enemy, really. What do bullets do? Why do you think they're called bullet points? Bullets kill, and they will kill your presentation. And now I realize that I've probably just insulted everybody who's presenting today, but that's okay. You didn't know. You didn't know. I am here to let you know. Bullet points are not your friend. And part of that comes from the PowerPoint template that we're given. So it's not even entirely our fault. PowerPoint gave this to us. They said, here, no, use this, take this. And the other thing that I'll say is that these sort of slides are not, unique to science and engineering. These are slides that are across so many different disciplines. I just specialize in this area. But part of the reason that we do this, back to the PowerPoint template, is because, PowerPoint gives us this template that encourages us to use bullets. It encourages us to use a lot of written words and not necessarily include images. And the problem with that is that relies too much on the language side of our brains. So, when I'm reading to you exactly what you see that is up on the screen, that's basically an overload. You can't actually take in all that information. And while the heading seems like it would be helpful because it's a phrase and there's fewer words, it actually does not encourage the presenter to be specific about the message that you want you want your audience to take away from your presentation. And so a slide like this is actually just works much better in terms of comprehension, in terms of preparing the speaker to go out and communicate a message. So this slide, courtesy of Genevieve Brown from the University of Columbia, talks about trabeculae, which is the mesh-like structure of our bones. And what she says is that trabeculae is so strong that it actually encouraged, or inspired rather, the design of the Eiffel Tower. So the last thing that I'll say to you, and one of the most important things that you can do when you're communicating your message, is to do it with passion. Passion is a really important part. And I realize that it's sometimes difficult when we get into the day-to-day of our work to sort of remember what it is that we're passionate about to begin with, but it's really important that you take some time and think about what about the message that you're communicating makes you passionate. Why are you excited about what you do? And so I want to show you one last clip by a man named Hans Rosling, who's a mathematician and a statistician, and also a medical doctor. And I don't know if you agree with me, but I would say that statistics aren't necessarily always the most exciting topic, but I think that Hans Rosling does a really great job of making them exciting. So let's watch this clip.
So this is where I realized that there was really a need to communicate, because the data of what's happening in the world and the child health of every country is very well aware. So we did the software which displays it like this. Every bubble here is a country. This country over here is this is China. And this is India. The size of the bubble is the population, and on this axis here I put fertility rate. Because my students, what they said when they looked upon the world, and I asked them, what do you really think about the world? Well, I first discovered that the textbook was Tintin mainly. And they said the world is still we and them. And we is Western world, and them is third world. And what do you mean with Western world? I said, well, that's long life and small family, and third world is short life and large family. So this is what I could display here. I put fertility rate here, number of children per woman, 1, 2, 3, 4, up to about 8 children per woman. We have very good data since 1962, 1960 about, on the size of families in all countries. The arrow margin is narrow. Here I put life expectancy at birth, from 30 years in some countries up to about 70 years. And 1962, there was really a group of countries here that was industrialized countries, and they had small families and long lives. And these were the developing countries. They had large families and they had relatively short lives. Now what has happened since 1962? We want to see the change. Are the students right? It's still two types of countries? Or have these developing countries got smaller families and they live here? Or have they got longer lives and live up there? Let's see, we stop the world. And this is all UN statistic that has been available. Here we go. Can you see there? It's China there moving against better health. They are improving there. All the green Latin American countries, they are moving towards smaller families. The yellow ones here are the Arabic countries, and they get larger families, but they longer life, but not larger families. The Africans are the green down here, they still remain here. This is India. Indonesia is moving on pretty fast. And in the 80s here, you have Bangladesh still among the African countries there. But now Bangladesh, it's a miracle that happens in the 80s. The imams start to promote family planning, and they move up into that corner. And in 90s, we have the terrible HIV epidemic that takes down the life expectancy of the African countries, and all the rest of the world moves up into the corner where we have long lives and small family, and we have a completely new world. So this is where I realized that there was really a need to communicate, because the data...
Hans Rosling is with us always, apparently. So I showed this clip at a talk that I gave in Korea a few months ago, and I have to tell you, the audience, they were like up on their feet, like clapping and cheering for Hans Rosling. And I've watched this clip so many times, and I want to clap and cheer for him. He's so excited about what he's doing, and his passion just leaps off the screen. And so I would encourage you to try and bring at least some of that passion to your own communication. So basically, in summary, I just want to encourage you to think very carefully about the audience that you're communicating to think about how you can distill down those ideas to the 3 or 4 main points, to use stories and analogies and examples to help make that information stick with people, and then also to communicate all that with passion. So thank you so much for having me, and I'll be around for a little bit if anybody'd like to talk further. All right, thank you.